All right, Shalom Yashala, back with another GMS on the go. I'm Brother Nakam. I'm with the Raleigh, North Carolina camp. Before I go any further, I'd like to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakar Kodash. Next up, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone from teaching us this truth according to the Bible and who rule well. And the double shalom to all the Sisiakim throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and righteousness and sincerity to the best of your ability. You know? And I was able to get up today through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah. Yahweh, that's who the world ignorantly calls God, which his name means he is or he exists. And Yahweh Shah being the only begotten Son, that's who the world calls Jesus, which his name means he saves, he delivers. You know? And I'm just going to get into a lesson today on how the day of the Lord is really going to be, you know, according to the scriptures. You see, because contrary to popular belief, everybody thinks that the day of the Lord, you know, is good times, smiles, laughter, kisses, when it's not true. When you open up this Bible and read it, again, it tells you how the day of the Lord is going to be. And the day of the Lord is a very serious and dangerous time. It's not to be taken lightly, you know. So without further ado, I'm going to grab my first precept, and Lord willing, you so-called Negroes, Latino Americans, will be edified, the elect. So the first precept I'm going to grab, let me see. This is Amos, chapter 5, verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. That's right. The ones of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans, 2/3 of y'all who are desiring, who are excited, who are happy, you know, of the day of the Lord. Woe unto you, which woe means death and destruction. Death and destruction unto 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans who are desiring the day of Yahweh Shah, who the world calls Jesus, you know, return on the face of the earth. Woe unto you. It reads on, to what end is it to you? That's right. The ones of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans, 2/3 of y'all who are desiring the day of the Lord, what end is it to 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, knowing that the Lord is coming back? The end of it to 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans is death and destruction. You see? Because what? You're being wicked your whole life. Not taking heed to the men of the Lord, you know, the prophets, the Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah, who the word calls God and Jesus, has sent forth unto you to give you the truth according to the scriptures. You see? 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans, been out here doing your own thing, committing all kind of wicked acts, gang banging, selling drugs, defiling your temple by smoking weed, cigarettes, black and miles. You know, committing adultery, sleep with the next man's wife, vice versa, indulging in sodomy, 2 men together, 2 women together, worshiping all these different false gods who are no gods, such as Baphomet, Allah, Buddha, the Hindu goddess Shiva, Santa Maria, Haile Selassie. You know, celebrating all these different pagan holidays such as Christmas, Easter, Halloween, Valentine's Day, New Year's, you know, and so forth and so on. So the end of it to 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino Americans who are designing the day of Yahweh Shah, you know, his return on the face of the earth, who the word called Jesus, is death and destruction unto you because you've been wicked your whole life. This is Amos chapter 5, verse 18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it to you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. That's right. The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. Meaning the day of the Lord is very, very bad, and it ain't no good in it. You see? Because what's good about race riots that's coming? What's good about martial law that's coming? What's good about famine and food and thirst is coming? What's good about these pestilence, you know, which are the diseases that's coming? What's good about the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast that's coming? What's good about teeth of wild beasts? What's good about Leviathan, Bigfoot? You know what's good about ultimately the end all be it all, the 200 million ICBM missiles that these other nations are going to send over to this place called America and destroy it. Right along with the chariots, with the word he calls UFOs, with those laser beam of fire coming down from the bottom of it. You see? There's nothing good about the stuff I just named according to the scriptures. It's all bad. You see? And that's why the day of the Lord shouldn't be taken lightly. The day of the Lord should be taken serious because it's an evil and dangerous day. It's an evil and dangerous time. This is Amos chapter 5, verse 19. As if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him. or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. That's right, because that's exactly how the day of the Lord is going to be. You see, 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans, you're going to get away from one bad incident. You might get away from the race riots, but then what? You're going to come up against a situation worse than the one before. You're going to come up against these brutal animals. You might get away from the race riots and these brutal animals, but then you're going to come up against martial law. You might get away from the brutal animals, the race riots, and martial law, but then you're going to come up against famine of food and thirst. You might get away from all this stuff that I just named, but then what? You're going to get taken ultimately by the end all be it all, the 200 million ICBM missiles that these other nations are going to send off to destroy this place called America. You see, so one way or another, you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans are going to get caught up by something. There's no escaping the day of the Lord. So again, the ones of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and the Americans who are thinking that the day of the Lord is all, all good, all smiles and kisses, you sadly mistaken. The day of the Lord is a serious and dangerous time. This is Amos chapter 5, verse 20. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? And that's right. And the day of the Lord should be dark, and no light in it. You see? Because you people are wicked. You're not taking heed to Yahweh Shema Shah through his men that he sent forth to give you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans to understand according to the scriptures. You see, to give you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans the truth. You see, y'all out here just doing your own thing, being wicked as all hell. So the day of the Lord should be darkness and no light in it. It should be very bad, which it is, and there shouldn't be no good in it, which it isn't. You see, so that's how the day of the Lord is going to be. It's going to be very, 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 very bad. And there ain't going to be no good in it. I'm going to grab my next precept. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. That's right. So that day that is great is what we're fastly approaching. Is what we're coming into. Which is Jacob's trouble. You see? And this time that we're fastly approaching, that we're coming into, it ain't no time that's been on the face of the earth that compared to this time that we're getting ready to come into. You see? Ancient Egypt with all those different plagues coming upon that land can't compare to this time. The flood can't compare to this time. Ancient slavery can't compare to this time. World War I, World War II can't compare to this time. 70 AD can't compare to this time. No time on the face of the earth that we're getting ready to come into can compare to this time. You see, because again, you're going to have all hell breaking loose. You're going to have your race riots, your martial law, your famine of food and thirst, your different pestilence, which are the diseases, teeth of wild beasts, Bigfoot, Leviathan, the Alpha Dicha, which is the mark of the beast, the end all be it all, the 200 million ICBM missiles that's going to come and destroy this place called America, right along with the chariots, which the word calls UFOs, which we know to be IFOs, identified flying objects, with that concentrated fire coming down from the bottom of it. You see? This is everything that, 2/3 are going to have to go through. And some of us, but, the Lord is going to be with us through those times. The elect, Lord, will be some men. You see? But the point is, there ain't been no time on the face of the earth that's going to be able to compare to this great day that we're getting ready to come into. This is how the day of the Lord is actually going to be. So what do you people get off saying that the day of the Lord is a good time and you can't wait till the Lord come back? People, man, the day of the Lord, man, it ain't to be taken lightly. It ain't to be taken lightly. I'm going to read that from the top again. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7. At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he should be saved out of it. That's right. It's even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he should be saved out of it. And we read the scripture to tell you who Jacob is. Jacob is our forefather, whose name was changed to Israel after he wrestled the angel. So Jacob represents you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans. It's you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans trouble. Because you're going to be the one catching all hell out here. But what? He should be saved out of it, which is the elect. The elect of the nation of Israel is going to be saved out of this trouble that's coming. Lord willing, the brothers pushing this truth, and truth and sincerity will be saved up out of it, the elect. You see, so again, this is how the day of the Lord is really going to be. according to the scriptures. Grab another precept real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 6. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. That's right. Look into that word howl means to cry. You see? And that's exactly what 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans are going to be doing soon come. Y'all going to be doing a whole bunch of howling, a whole bunch of crying. Why? Because the day of the Lord is at hand. It's fastly approaching. To a what? All hell going to be breaking loose. You know? Everything I've been naming, you know, your race riots, your martial law, your famine of food and thirst, you know, your pestilence, the diseases, you know, the 200 million ICBM missiles coming to destroy this place called America, the chariots, what's the word that calls UFOs with that lazy beam of fire coming down from the bottom of it, you know, and so forth and so on. You see, this is what the day of the Lord consists of. And 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans, y'all gonna be howling because y'all gonna be catching so much hell. Everywhere you look, it's gonna be nothing but death and destruction. And 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans are gonna be, you know, going through it. Y'all will be going through, you know, on all this hell, and that's why y'all gonna be howling and crying. It reads on. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Right. So this destruction that's going to come upon the face of the earth is coming as a destruction from the Almighty. Not Allah, not Buddha, not the Hindu goddess Shiva, not Santa Maria, not Haile Selassie, not none of these false gods who are no gods that 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans be worshiping. This destruction that's coming on the face of the earth is coming from the one and only true and living power. You see, the one and only Almighty, Yahweh Shema Shah. That's who's the one that's bringing this destruction. You see, that's the one who's bringing the evil, the bad times upon the face of the earth, to where 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino Americans are going to be left howling, crying, because you catching so much hell. You see? This is what the day of the Lord is going to be like. You see? Again, this is what the day of the Lord is going to be like. Everything I'm reading does not sound nice. Does not sound like hugs and kisses. Does not sound like, you know, Snicker bars and juju beans. Everything I'm reading, you know, sounds like death and destruction. You know, total chaos, which it is, because this is how the day of the Lord is going to be. I'm going to jump down to, let me see. Salaki, bear with me. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 9. Behold, which behold means to look, the day of the Lord cometh cruel. That's right. So this is how the day of the Lord is going to be. Cruel. And that word cruel don't sound like nothing nice. When you look into that word cruel, it says, just roughly paraphrasing it, I can't get my definitions right now. It says, willfully causing pain or suffering to others or feeling no concern about it. You see, so that's what the word cruel means. Willfully causing pain or suffering to others or feeling no concern about it. You see? And then when you look into some of those synonyms of cruel, it means like cutthroat, bloodthirsty, murderous, you know, and so forth and so on. That's how the day of the Lord is going to be. It's going to be cruel. You see? Yahweh Shema Shah, you know, wants to make 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latin Americans suffer. He wants y'all to go through pain. Because 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino Americans have been wicked on the face of the earth, not taking heed to the prophets that he has sent forth to give you the truth according to the scriptures. So Yahweh Shema Shah willingly wants to bring pain upon 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino Americans, and watch y'all suffer. And when y'all start suffering and going through all this pain, Yahweh Shema Shah ain't going to feel no concern about it. He's not going to feel bad about it because they want to do it to you. Again, because 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans are wicked as all hell, man. Read it from the top again. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 9. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger. That's right. And how is Yahweh Shema Shah, who the word and he calls God and Jesus, going to show that they're coming back cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger? By all these different plagues and calamities, you know, that I've been naming through all this whole lesson. Your race riots, your martial law, famine of food and thirst, Leviathan, Bigfoot, teeth of wild beasts, these pestilence, which are the diseases, the 200 million ICBM missiles that's going to come and destroy this place called America, the Cherishes, the one he calls UFOs, with that laser beam of fire coming down from the bottom of it. You see, that's how Yahweh Bashim Shah is going to show that they're coming back cruel, both for wrath and fierce anger. It says, to lay the land desolate. That word desolate means uninhabited. You see, so when those missiles get shut off, it's going to lay this land, America, aka Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah, desolate. It's gonna lay it uninhabited. You see, because when those missiles hit, the only thing that's gonna be dwelling over here after this place is destroyed, is things that can stand the heat, like Komodo dragons, and so forth and so on. But everything else is gonna be wiped away. It says, and he should destroy the sinners that were out of it. That's right. So when those missiles hit, it's going to destroy the sinners, of you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, the ones of you are transgressing the law, statutes, commandments of the Bible, out of this place called America, right along with these other heathen nations. You see? This is how the day of the Lord is going to be, man. So you so-called Negroes, Latino, and Americans, if you happen to come across this video, take heed. Get your act together. Speaking to myself first and foremost. Because the day of the Lord is not a good time, It's not a peaceful and joyful day. It's very bad, and it's not to be taken lightly, because the day of the Lord is a serious time, So without further ado, I hope you so-called Negroes, Latino Americans have been edified. Before I go any further, I'd like to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Next up, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone from teaching us this truth according to the Bible and who rule well, and a double shalom to all the sincere Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth from righteousness and sincerity to the best ability. Till next time, shalom.